Alright, class. Our normal concept lectures are now officially over. So now we get into the application portion of the class. There'll still be a lecture or two like this one, kind of introducing you to the program or whatever it is we're going to be using. That would certainly be beneficial if you watched it. Our first application is actually going to be Word. So I'm going to show everybody a few things about Word. Now, Word is also probably one of the most used applications. Oop, there we go. So most people have probably used Word at least a little bit. If you've got an English class or art or even music or history, you've probably written a paper, and you may have used Word. Now, of course, there are several different kinds of word processing software, and that's what this is. There's OpenOffice, if you don't happen to have Word, for example. Let's see here. My stuff's not going where it wants to go. There we go. Alright. For example, for this class, we are going to be using Microsoft Office. In fact, you can get it for free on Canvas. Or not necessarily Canvas, but on our main website. OpenOffice is similar to Word. It's got a spreadsheet, it's got a Word document, it's got a PowerPoint presentation software. The only difference is it's completely free. You can download all of it. It's not really necessary to download it now because you can get Office for free. The major difference between the two is, well, Office is a little bit more nicer as far as layout goes and tools and utilities probably. Once you leave school, you don't want to pay for Office. You could get OpenOffice and it'll probably do everything you possibly could want. Now, at this point, I'm going to tell you, you will be required to have a book. Absolutely, positively. You need a book and you need SAM. If you don't have a book, you don't have SAM, you will not do any assignments from the rest of the semester, which means you most certainly will not pass. So hopefully everyone has their book, hopefully by now. Now, the SAM card, if you bought the SAM thing separately, is $100 and something odd. So if you guys happen to be looking for that, there's actually, over here at Cengage Brain, you can buy it at the bookstore as well, and you can see it's actually fairly expensive. It does come with an ebook, however. Now, how good that ebook is, I don't know. I haven't seen it in use, but I'll try to turn it on through SAM, and that's where you would go to get it. Now, if you bought the book and the SAM code from the bookstore, it's like $20 or so more. So honestly, it's really probably better to actually get the book itself from the bookstore. But how you get it's up to you, as long as you can do the work in the class. Now, let's go over Word, which is going to be our first topic. Most of you probably know a good bit about what I'm going to say, but there's always some things you probably haven't seen before. Now, first and foremost, file, obviously you can save, you can print, you can make new documents and things like that. And pretty much everything we do, there's a lot of templates, but we're going to be using blank document whenever we make a new file. You can save it, and you can save it wherever you want, either on your desktop or on your flash drive or wherever you want to put it. Now, one of the more useful things about Word and Office, the whole suite, is it keeps track of a lot of information. Now, as far as things go, you'll see I've got pages, words, even total time editing. You even got date modified, when it was created, who created it. And I actually can't do anything about who created it. Who last opened it. It actually keeps track of who everybody who's opened it. So if you turn in something that is not yours, I will know. This class in particular is not incredibly difficult. There is a good bit of work. So you will have to spend a little bit of time actually doing the assignments. But none of them are that difficult for the most part. And if you have any questions or problems, you can always ask me. Now, the book itself, we're going to be in the Word chapter as of right now. And at the end of the Word chapter 1, which is where we're going to start, there is, and I believe it is on page Let me find it for you. Boom, let's see. Well, I stand corrected. They do not have this in the new book, apparently. But there used to be a little where everything was, what page everything was on at the end of the chapter. Apparently they've taken that out. But that's fine. I mean, if you get stuck on anything, you can always message me and ask me, and I can send you a little video or something showing you what you need to do. Or directly tell you what page it's on. Go to this page, and it's telling you exactly what you need to do. I'm not going to ask you to do anything in class or any assignment that you haven't done or at least seen already. We're going to walk through some of it here, and of course you're going to end up getting a little bit of it when you do one of our first assignments, because you're going to get walked through pretty much everything you're going to need to know there. Now, there is a lot of, like I said, little things here listed here that I can pretty much figure out if you did not turn in your own work. Don't cheat. Don't have somebody else do your work. Try to be as honest as you can, because even if you cheat, once you get to the final, it's going to be fairly obvious that you didn't do your work, even if I didn't catch you. Now, Home tab. This list is basically the list of most of the things you're going to use. You've got your copy, paste, and of course I can type stuff. I can change the font, which is basically just how the letters work. There's everything from something that looks a little bit more like, I think if you're doing English class or anything like that, they like Times New Roman. So I could change to that. In fact, I could just type it in and it'll take me to it. Times New Roman. Back in the day, they didn't really specify the font, so I actually managed to cheat a little bit by using Courier New, which gave me, as you can see, each of these fonts give you a little bit more distance or a little less, depending on the size. You could also set it to Wingdings, one of my favorite fonts that are completely useless, or Webdings. I challenge you to turn in an English paper in Wingdings and see what happens. I'm curious as to what would happen. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't go well, but do it anyway. And then inform me so I'll know. You can bold, italics, you can underline, and there's decorative underlines here, and even colored underlines if you want. Subscript, superscript, strike through. You can adjust the size of fonts up here. This is increase the size by 1 or decrease the size. Now, text effects you're actually going to use quite a bit, and this is relatively new. If you have like an older version of Word, you won't see this. But this gives your text a particular font. You just hover over it. This is fill, blue, accent 1, shadow. It gives you a bunch of different effects. There are shadows in different directions, which you can't really see with that, but there's reflections. I can give it a reflection. I can make it glow or something like that. You can do a number of things. And actually, ligatures and such are actually relatively new to the newest versions. I'm not quite sure what they do, but it looks like maybe those ligatures found in historical printing, as well as ligatures for stylistic effects. So I guess it's little connections between letters, it looks like, if you look here and here. I don't know that we're going to be using that, though, so you don't really have to worry too much. Most of what we're going to use is going to be right up here, easy to spot. You just hover over it and it will tell you the name. This one right here is the highlight, which we more than likely won't use. You will, however, use the fill, or shading, rather. Notice the difference here. If I pick blue, it highlights everything you see there, the whole line. The highlighter just highlights basically what's highlighted. You can change the font color over here. You can adjust uppercase, lowercase, toggle case, sentence case, all that stuff here as well. Or even just get rid of all the formatting altogether. You can left align, center, right align. You can even have bullets, numbered bullets, fancy embedded, intended bullets that go down huge lists. And then you can move things left and right. This is basically the same as hitting Tab, basically. You can even add borders around stuff. Or, in the book usually asks for this, but this right here, this little symbol, is formatting marks, basically. If you click it, you see a formatting mark. If I press enter, that's a little mark that means enter. Honestly, I find that it's kind of useless now. They used to use this back when we were using typewriters. So I don't know how useful it is today, but I usually just leave that off. You can even adjust styles. And you see they give you different fonts, different sizes, different colors, and various other things here. You can insert. We can insert a table, for example. And this is a good way to organize stuff. You insert the table, and I can actually just come here and I can turn all this stuff off if I wanted to, so you couldn't actually see the outline. But I can insert a picture. Now, if I have a picture on the computer, I can click Pictures, and I can go down the list and just select the picture, for example. Let's see here. Okay. We'll find a picture of a spray bottle. Why not? And you see it's fairly jumbo-sized. So I can shrink it down a bit. And you see it'll end up fitting on the page. You can shrink it by, well, either grabbing one of the sides. You can even flip it. Normally you want to grab the corner, though, and keep the same aspect ratio. You can come up to the upper right. Now, note this little Format tab. When I click off of that, it goes away. This only appears when you click on a picture. And it gives you, well, everything from corrections and colors, and brightness and saturation, and you can even do artistic effects. Basically, you get pretty much just like a little mini Photoshop in Word. You can compress the picture so it's not quite as big. I can give it little borders and various other things. There's a whole list here of things to choose from. You can even give it colors around the outside edge, or give it picture effects like reflections and whatnot. There's a whole list of things, and that's only available when you click on that picture. And of course, the size. Just right. Keep my system. There we go. Now, of course, if I let's see, what did I hit? Yeah, there we go. If it's underlined in blue, that typically means that there's a grammar error. And in this case, I have a little tilde mark there. If it's underlined in red, that means there's a spelling error. And you can just right-click and there you go. There's no reason to have anything misspelled in Word. It automatically tells you, it's misspelled. It'll even automatically fix some things, like the word the. A lot of people will type, instead of THE, they'll type TEH. And it'll just automatically readjust that when you type it. And it's only annoying if you meant for it to be TEH. Now, if I don't have a picture that I've downloaded, you could, of course, just go to the internet and drag stuff on. I can click Online Pictures. And this will give you a little search through Bing. And we'll look for, I guess, Epic Raptors. Well, I think we have a winner. That's about as epic of a raptor as I've ever seen, so I'm going to pick that and insert it. And there it goes. Epic Raptor. There we go. Now I have stuff inserted. I could hide these guys here if I wanted to, using that little border thing we saw earlier. Just say no borders and it goes away. And now it's all fairly neatly organized. You can, of course, drag these anywhere you want, move them anywhere you want. I can move the text back and forth. We can insert shapes as well, and they have a whole slew of shapes for you to pick from. And that also gives you another toolbar that pops up when you click on it. And I can change that color to, let's go with, why not? Kind of a light. There we go. We'll go with that blue color there. And if you felt so inclined, you can insert Wikipedia entries, screenshots, charts from Excel. A lot of these applications interconnect, so you can actually insert charts and various other things from some of the other stuff. Videos, if you wanted to. Hyperlinks, bookmarks, put a comment in. There's even a header and a footer. I click at the top. This is the header, and there's a footer at the bottom. English class, I believe, likes to have page numbers at the top, and you can get to that just by clicking page number. Top of the page, and I think they put it on the right, if I'm not mistaken. And then they want your last name in front of it. You just type. And once you've got that, you can pretty much just, it looks like let's move you up a little higher, I guess. There you go. And as I go to the second page, you'll see 2, 1, and so on. But that's just a double click, and then you just set the page number. You can also get a couple of little options up here if you need them. Alright. And you could also insert equations and stuff, but we won't really do that much here. Design, the only thing you'll really need to do here is change the themes. Now, as you can see, I don't have too much in the way of color, so I'll add a little bit of color to this so we can kind of see. Let's shade that. Why not with some kind of green or something, just to show it's different. We'll shade this guy too with, I'm going to go with that color. Alright. Now what a theme does, you can set the individual formatting, you can set the colors, or you can set the fonts. Now the theme itself will change all of that. So as I go down, you see it will change the fonts, it'll change spacing and fonts and colors, and you see how everything just kind of shifts and changes as I hover over each one of these. I'll go for, let's go with something that changes this. Let's see. There we go. Let's go with a slice. So my previously brown is now brown. Green stayed green. And the reason it stayed the same color is, if you look at my little color drop down, it's changed. My brown is now blue. My green is still green, although it's a slightly different shade. And some of my other colors changed. That's what themes do. They adjust that color spectrum. Now, if you're doing your assignment and it tells you to pick a color and you don't see it, you may have skipped changing the themes, which is usually like the first direction. We could also add page color if you wanted to. That doesn't actually print off. I think it's more for if you had like colored paper you're printing on so you could see what it looks like. You could even add page borders, which adds a little border around the page. Or if you felt so inclined, you could put art, like muffins, for example, around the page. Although that would cover up your name, but like I said, if you felt so inclined or had to. Layout, this adjusts the margins. Spacing, I do believe that you're required to do double space, and that's actually here on the Home tab as well. You can just press Control-A and it would highlight everything. And then you could say double space. Or you can go to Layout, and you can do all that here. Just set everything to 0, and then there's a little button right here. And you just go to line spacing and set double. There's always 4 or 5 ways to do the exact same thing. And this is one of those ways. And for the most part, you won't do much else here unless you wanted to set things up like a newspaper or, flip it, portrait or landscape. Now references are good if you're writing a paper. Most of you probably have to do a cites page or citation or reference or something. English, I think, usually likes MLA style, which is here. APA is usually for like psychology papers and stuff. But I can go up here to manage sources, and I can add my own source. If you know the book and all the information for it, I can just say, well, let's see. Oh, whoops, that should be the title. Let's cut and paste that. Boop, boop. There we go. Here, I just wrote this. City. Publisher. And it's a book, so I guess I can just leave that alone. And okay. And now this is one of my citations. I can just close this, or I can add more. And at the bottom, I just click this little thing here. Reference, works cited, and it will fill it out in the appropriate style for me. You don't have to do anything else. Now you can also use websites like EasyBib, and they actually have a little repository. Let's see, EasyBib. And MLA, I think, is free. There are some others that do cost money, but you just put in the book. Let's say, for example, I just pick a random book, and it will search and actually get the citation and all the information for you. For example, there, and I just click Cite This. And it will fill out all that stuff, and you just simply have to just create citation. And what you get is this. And you can, export it or save it or copy and paste it, and it's in the format it's supposed to be in. So you can use a website or you can use this. Let's see here. References, everything else, pretty much it. You won't really use much else on here. Mailings, unless you're making envelopes, you won't really come here. Review, spell check. That's built in. Thesaurus. If you want to find bigger words for something, let's say, this is stupid, unwise, foolish, unintelligent. There's a whole list of different words here. Senseless, ill-advised, impudent, that you can pick from. Just swap stuff out. There's also a word count. There's also a translate. You can translate to different languages. So I can sit here and translate to, let's say, we'll go down to Russian, perhaps? I don't know. Let's pick Russian. Why not? And it'll pass it off to Microsoft's little translation software. So it won't take the pictures, but it'll take everything else. And you can kind of see, give me stuff is actually Iante me. I have no idea what that is. Perhaps I should have picked something with actual English letters. But there's a rough translation. Now I would not try translating a document and turning it into Spanish class or something. It's not that good. But it can give you a rough idea of what something's saying if you wanted to try translating anything. And then you've got view, which really the only useful thing here is zoom. But that's also here in the lower right hand corner. And that just lets you zoom in, zoom out if you are visually impaired or, visually challenged. That's pretty much everything word-wise. We have assignments now. And they're going to be posted on campus here right after this video is done, actually. And you'll see them under Concepts Word Week 4. We'll have a test this week, obviously. And there's a video on how to set up SAM, as well as this video here. 2 SAM assignments on the SAM website, and then 1 chapter exercise, which comes straight from the book, the Word chapter.